This video was recorded in front of a live virtual audience. Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to Essentially Dacob, my fragrant perfume channel. Welcome everybody. In an endeavor to continue my quest of raising awareness about pure extracts, perfumes that have the Parfum concentration label on them, I wish to talk to you today about Shalimar, the pure perfume, and it's the back of it. Shalimar, the pure perfume by Guerlain in its 30 milliliter splash bottle. First and foremost, subscribe to my channel here on YouTube if you haven't already. Thumb up this video if you're liking it thus far, and join me as I live stream every Saturday on my main Super Dacob channel, which you are also welcome to subscribe to, because as I live stream every week, I get also to talk to you guys in the chats live. So I have my co-reviewers in the chats ready to review this fragrance together with me. Now, we know that a lot of major brands, perfume brands, discontinue more and more their pure extrait or parfum concentrations from their assortment. There are a few that are still in rotation. You know, I'm a big advocate of Opium Parfum, which by the way has been discontinued. I have received news. It was still in production in Europe up until like last year. Now they've taken it off the market. They might bring it back again, but unfortunately, as much as I kept spreading love for Opium, it's gone. The pure perfume. Chanel No. 5 is still there, of course. A couple of Les Exclusives are circulating, which are still in production. And Guerlain also, which is a fragrant house powerhouse, also has its heritage pieces like Shalimar, which is still in production. Now, we're going to open it together and we are going to smell it together. But of course, before we do so, let's get to the little bit of a history about Shalimar and what it really means, what it represents. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to review the pure perfume, I explained to you why. Second reason being, we are in the year 2021. Officially, Shalimar was launched in 1925, but however, rumors have it that it was already conceived and ready by 1921. So technically, if we're not talking about the launch date, but the inception date, then this year marks the 100th birthday of Shalimar, the pure perfume. Just like this year marks the 100th year of Chanel No. 5. Two fragrances that couldn't be more far apart from each other, and yet they share some sort of history together, which is their inception. Isn't that fascinating? So Guerlain will probably acknowledge, L'Oréal, behind Guerlain, will probably acknowledge, no wait, did L'Oréal buy Guerlain, or who was it? Or is it LVMH? You guys tell me in the chats, who bought Guerlain? Who did Guerlain sell out to? Or did it sell out to Dior and Co? Or did it sell out to L'Oréal? Somebody's gonna know. While you're telling me in the chats who owns Guerlain today, I will share with you the batch code of this parfum. It's not the newest one. It's 5P01. Thank you, Karine. LVMH bought Guerlain out, but many years ago. It's not a recent acquisition. Thank you guys in the chats. Everybody's telling me LVMH. Bad Dacob, L'Oréal. I was mixing up my opium. Me, Yves Saint Laurent's opium, not another opium, and my Shalimar. So the Opium Parfum, which we know is, and L'Oréal, and we got this guys here. Okay. Yes, Gary, they own nearly everything. So we got Shalimar, 100th birthday, Guerlain, and which is what I wanted to say before, or if LVMH decide to celebrate the 100th birthday of Shalimar, they're probably then going to do it in 2025. Also because I don't think they wanted to compete with Chanel this year, you know, to celebrate the 100th birthday. Then we would have these huge two perfumes. I would have loved to have 100 birthdays of No. 5 and Shalimar in the same year. So anyway, just because the brands aren't celebrating it, and Chanel did a terrible job at celebrating the 100th birthday of Chanel No. 5, by the way, let's hope that Guerlain does a better job. Besides the point. Just because they don't want to celebrate it doesn't mean we don't have to, that we can't. So that's why this year I thought it was very important to celebrate and review the Pure perfume. Plus, it's Halloween season. It's October, it's almost Halloween now. This one evokes spirits and ghosts. Definitely does. So, for those of you who are used to classic perfume reviews, unbox it, shred it to bits, open it, smell it, you're in the wrong place here. Everything in due time. First, we're going to read the history of the inception of this perfume through the history of the woman / man / building that inspired it, the love story that inspired Shalimar. Let's go on a fragrant journey together. We're going to talk about Mumtaz Mahal. Romanized version of the name is Mumtaz Mahal, born Arjumand Banu Begum in Persian. Please forgive me, Persian people, if I mispronounce the name. Born 27th of April, 1593. Died on the 17th of June of 1631. Was the Empress Consort of the Mughal Empire from 19th January 1628 to the 17th of June 1631 as the chief consort of the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. The Taj Mahal in Agra, often cited as one of the wonders of the world, was commissioned by her husband to act as her tomb. Mumtaz Mahal was born Arjumand Banu Begum in Agra to a family of Persian nobility. She was the daughter of Abul Hassan Asaf Khan, a wealthy Persian noble who held high office in the Mughal Empire, and the niece of Empress Nur Jahan, the chief wife of Emperor Jahangir, and the power behind the emperor. She was married at the age of 19 on May 10th, 1612. Not so certain here. They also cite another possible date of marriage, 16th of June of 1612, to Prince Khurram, later known by his regal name Shah Jahan, who conferred upon her the title of Mumtaz Mahal, in Persian meaning the exalted one of the palace. Although betrothed to Shah Jahan since 1607, she ultimately became his second wife in 1612. Mumtaz and her husband had 14 children, including Jahanara Begum, Shah Jahan's favorite daughter, and the crown prince Dara Shikoh, the heir apparent, anointed by his father, who temporarily succeeded him until deposed by Mumtaz Mahal's sixth child, Aurangzeb, who ultimately succeeded his father as the sixth Mughal emperor in 1658. Mumtaz Mahal died in 1631 in Burhanpur, Deccan, present-day Madhya Pradesh, during the birth of her 14th child, a daughter named Gauhar Ara Begum. Shah Jahan had the Taj Mahal built as a tomb for her, which is considered to be a monument of undying love. As with other Mughal royal ladies, no contemporary likenesses of her are accepted, but numerous imagined portraits were created from the 19th century onwards. This is the love story that inspired Jacques Guerlain to formulate and create a vision of that love through Shalimar. Now, but what is Shalimar? Shalimar, as per text from the Guerlain website that we currently find on their website under the Shalimar Extrait or Parfum concentration. Guerlain tells us, inspired by the passionate love story between an emperor and an Indian princess, they don't say the name, but I just told you the names. Shalimar, which means temple of love in Sanskrit, symbolizes the promise of eternal love forevermore. It is a fragrance of desire, With its smoldering and slightly impertinent character, the star Oriental fragrance and perfumery embodies skin-caressing sensuality with a hint of the forbidden. Wearing Shalimar means letting yourself and your senses take over. This is what Jacques Guerlain would say. In 1925, so the Guerlain website states release date of 1925, the Shalimar bottle designed by Raymond Guerlain won first prize at the Paris Decorative Arts Exhibition. Its curves were inspired by the basins of the famous Shalimar Gardens. The fan stopper, with its sapphire transparency, recalls the garden's eternally gushing water. The fragrance is described as an oriental, voluptuous, sensual, and spellbinding concoction. A flight of flowers and bergamot whips up the top notes with a breeze of freshness. The heart is warmed by enveloping and delicately powdery notes of iris, jasmine, and rose. To conclude, the presence of vanilla, rounded balmy notes, and the gourmand warmth of tonka bean orchestrate a sensual symphony for the dry down. Now, in the past, originally cited as ingredient within Shalimar was ambergris. Natural amber. We don't have that anymore. The current formulation that I have here, which I will unbox right now, has the formulation code 08860M. And in the ingredients listed down here, there is no ambergris, no original ambergris. There is nothing that we would identify as extract of a certain flower or oil. Everything listed here is very synthetic. So let's see. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, let me zoom this in, you guys, as we tear into this baby. So I am super excited. Yeah, Jiz is there. Jiz says no civet for sure. No. This formulation that I have here does not play with those ingredients. I don't think they're even allowed to anymore with natural civet, at least. So, you know, I want to dedicate this perfume the proper attention that it deserves. Doesn't want to open. That's why we're taking our time with it. Okay, it's really stuck. Like they glued this. Ah, okay. All right. That's how we do it here in the Fashion Bunker. Ooh, okay. Okay. We love a moment of a box in a box. Oof. Cha. That blue, night blue. This is also the artistry of creating special boxes for pure perfumes. You know what I'm, if you know, you know. So we got that night blue in the exterior. And then we have this kind of beige white or off-white interior box with gold writing. Guerlain Parfumeur, Maison fondée in Paris in 1828. And now I'm going to lift this for the first time. I don't want anything to fall out. So let me lay it flat. So it's a cardboard box, you guys. And there it is. There is no... It's just cardboard inside. They didn't use any fabrics, you know, no silks, no nothing at the top. But inside here, we have a flocked piece of plastic. It's not very elegant. The bottle is gorgeous though, but they've been saving money. The interior is flocked plastic in which the bottle is enshrined, okay? So the box could have been a little bit more opulent. I would have liked to have seen my bottle of pure perfume of Shalimar in a blue silk bed. Guerlain, take notes, will ya? But of course they did frizz out the little silk tassel as they do with their metal brushes. They did go through that effort. So let me zoom in again. So this is how our bottle looks like, as the description on the Guerlain website states. Now I think this is just glass. I don't think that Baccarat. Well, we're gonna check. We're gonna check all the stickers. I'm gonna see if this is Baccarat crystal, but I don't think it is. But let's see. We don't know. So anyway, originally designed as out of Baccarat crystal to the Shalimar Love Gardens, represent the water gushing out from the fountain. That's why the blue stopper. And then we got that bottom there. Okay, so we got the beautiful little silk tassel with the metal little plum moment there, with a classic way of binding together the stopper. Very classic to French perfumery. At the bottom, we find an inscription. So we have it's a sticker on top of a sticker. Fascinating. So we do have the classic, 30 ml description of the perfume. And then underneath it, the glass is printed with a Guerlain bottle made in France. However, I do not have any Baccarat inscription. Not sure this is crystal. I don't think it is. But in the 20s, it used to be made in crystal. And from time to time, Guerlain does do special re-editions in crystal bottles, limited editions. This is the regular 30 ml you would find today. It's gorgeous. I have here a refill of the Eau de Parfum, just to compare the smells. Also color-wise, you can see the Eau de Parfum is a little bit more orange. This one is a little bit more yellow. And now we're going to open it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is always so sad to destroy this beautiful... Yeah, once we cut it, we cut it. But the little tassel, there's nothing we can do about it. I'm thinking how to preserve it so that the tassel remains... Let me first take a picture. We got to photograph it before I destroy it, because once the tassel is gone, it's gone. So Sachneko77 says, wow, shalimazing. Hubba hubba, says Seabreeze. Jesus says, is the stopper still made out of blue Baccarat? So the whole bottle and stopper should be made out of it, but since it doesn't state on the box, I don't think it is. I think it's regular glass. Because they would write it. If this was Baccarat crystal, they would not waste an opportunity to show off, to kind of prove like it's so expensive because of this reason. Well, then I'm just photographing this, you guys, because if I don't do it now, I'll never be able to do it again, because I'm going to break the seal. Instagram moment. You know what I mean? Let's make this an Instagram moment, shall we? And you best believe we will. Nobody buys pure perfumes nowadays, so might as well use this opportunity to promote pure perfumes, because they are a dying art. And it's good to show them some love whenever we can. At least that's my theory. That's my 5 cents. Alrighty. Thank you so much for your patience. I'm just going to cut into it. Yeah, it would also be way more expensive. Yeah, if it were Baccarat crystal, it would be way more expensive. So I'm going to cut right into it like we always do with our pure perfumes. So I'm going to cut back here. Back here. Maybe the whole thing will unfold, or I should cut it just in the front here. It's very tight. And the deed is done. The seal is broken. Is it though? Huh, well, it's still hanging there. We opened it and the little tassel thingy is still here. I can just turn it to the back. And there you go. Perfect. Okay, it's still attached. It's not like tightly woven there, but now the moment of truth, you guys. I'm going to open it and we're going to test out this gorgeous little Shalimar. I don't want to spill anything, you guys. Let me just delicately and slowly. Okay, so it has a rubber stopper around the glass. Hold on. Let me add some more. Very delicate. This is not um, screechy at all. It doesn't give me that slight metallic vibe that the eau de parfum has. When you spray this one, it's a metallic vanilla. The eau de parfum this is a refill. That's why it looks so weird. This is meant to be put in that, golden refillable container, which they don't make anymore. You can just buy the refills. Okay, so it's citrusy in the beginning, but not as much as the eau de parfum would be. It's more sustained, very delicate. It doesn't scream. It doesn't project. You would think, oh, Shalimar, it's a beast. It's going to project like it's nobody's business. No, this one, powdery hints of softness, delicate, delicate. It caresses you. I understand why it's a love story. Obviously, we're not in the 20s. We don't know how this fragrance smelled back then, you know. We have what we have today, and I'm so happy that they kept the bottle the way it is. It's such a beautiful. It makes much more sense like this. I have here an example of Shalimar Souffle de Parfum. So this is the bottle just in transparent glass that you would get if you bought Shalimar Eau de Parfum spray. It would be, so this recalls a little bit this one, but of course you see how simplified this is, and this makes much more sense, obviously, because it is the original iteration of what this is today, right? In terms of bottle design. So I'm so happy that they maintained this bottle the way it is. It is very delicate. Hold on, let me just put this down where it's not gonna spill. Could you imagine 30 milliliter of juice just all over the place? So okay, so it's giving me bergamot, floral notes top, mid notes, iris, rose, jasmine, just simplifying, vanilla and tonka bean in the base. It is very, very soft. Now, this one has just been opened. It needs to get some oxygen in there. I know that Shalimar has a tendency, once it's had a little bit of oxygen in there, it morphs into a deeper vanilla. The vanilla takes more charge with time, and it kind of makes that feeling of love. It anchors that love. It's a fragrance. I know this sounds awkward to say, but it has that power. It smells of a love that is true, anchored with a heft. But the heft, and this is the magic of Shalimar, the heft is not a burden. Sometimes you say heft, oh, it's like dragging a chain, a heavy chain with you wherever you're going along. And you're always like, oh, this love is, it's such a burden. No, the heft that you have here is something that you can describe as rooted. It's a love that has, shed roots, that is growing roots, but those are healthy roots in a healthy soil, and they are all encompassing, and they create stability. So when I say a grounded, rounded love, it is rooted. the heft is determined. And yet, in this iteration of this particular batch code of pure perfume that I'm smelling, it's a whiff. It's a whiff of determination. Now, listen to my words. A whiff of determination. Now I'm like out of... A whiff of determination means... Determination, again, you have this duality. Something is anchored and determined and powerful. Like, I'm going to do this. No. This is like delicately, in no aggressive way, so hefty and determined that it doesn't need to scream. It doesn't need to be all up in your face. It just very clearly delivers the message while caressing you. But it's all encompassing, and it's like finite determined, but without a dagger. It caresses you and says, it's all going to be fine because I love you. Now, some people love Shalimar, some people hate Shalimar. There's no in between, which is also great. In my opinion, it's a great thing when a fragrance has no in between, when it has that strong a character that you either love it or you hate it. However, I have a sneaky suspicion that the reason why a lot of people don't like Shalimar is because they've never smelled the pure perfume. Let me tell you something. It's easier to dislike it in its eau de toilette, eau de cologne, eau de parfum concentrations. They screech a little, huh? They have that, they bite you from the get-go. Then they mellow down and become softer. But the pure perfume, it sustains itself. You have the feeling there's potential there for a nuclear bomb, but it vibrates. The nucleus here, it isn't all over the place. Sometimes with eau de parfum, also with eau de cologne, you spray it and it's like in all directions everywhere. No, this one is like, it's like a magnet. It collects all of its ingredients and all of its potential into one core. It's almost like a supernova, it's like a black hole. While the other concentrations are more like a living sun that expands everywhere, this one is a black hole. It sucks everything in because it's so certain of itself. Yes, there's a synthetic touch to it. This is not 100% natural perfume. It's not. Don't expect some life-changing, I've never smelled this before moment. No, you've smelled it before because chances are you've smelled Shalimar on somebody else from a distance and they've been wearing it already for some time, so you get the softer dry down off of them. And there are people who, everybody knows Shalimar. Everybody. Listen, when I went to pick this one up, the lady at the cash register, this is a sweet moment. She picks this up and says, Shalimar. And mind you, she was in her, I don't know, 30s, 40s. I was like, I know this perfume from many, many years ago. I'm like, yeah, she's like, I even wore it. I was like, yeah, it's a powerful one, isn't it? She's like, oh yes, it leaves a mark you never forget. I don't wear it anymore, she said. I've moved on to other perfumes, but I'll never forget Shalimar. And so there's always a story. Every person has some sort of connection to it, whether or not they've been wearing it, known somebody who has worn it. And it's interesting that Shalimar and Number 5 were conceived, allegedly, both in 1921, and that both of them withstood the test of time, but they smell very different. And they withstood the test of time in very different ways. Very different ways. Just like the way this one smells, of sustaining itself. Number 5 is all outgoing. Same with the marketing. Number 5 is all in your face. Chanel knows that's their That's their power horse, and every Christmas they're gonna bombard you with it. Shalimar is more of a secret. Everybody knows it, but it's more subtle. It's more underground. Even though it's so known worldwide, it's more of a memory. Number 5 is more of a presence. It's the now. They're trying so desperately with Chanel to always rebrand number 5 and make it actual. While Shalimar plays a different game. Hence, the bottle also has history. This is history. In a particular context, Art Nouveau or Art Deco meets Oriental style and vibe, and here we come to that cultural appropriation point. Europe back in the day was very much keen on conquering, stylistically speaking, the Orient, the stories of the Orient, the mysteries of the Orient. It was something very alluring to the bourgeoisie and the rich and the aristocracy of the time. So they were very much inspired by those stories. They dreamt of living in those spaces. And, you know, the Industrial Revolution turned Europe into a very mechanical place. So a lot of people, especially in the richer echelons, were dreaming of more natural times, of more romantic times, more disconnected from technology. Funny how far we've come with technology nowadays. Everything's about technology today, isn't it? And yet, even though everything's about technology today, we still have this little perfume reminding us to keep dreaming about something else out there, that is out there, just a little bit out of reach, but there's potential of getting there. Some people call it cultural appropriation. I call it inspiration. Because while it's true, and I've said this before in other videos, when other brands take design elements from other cultures without asking permission, with perfumes it's different. It's different because a perfumer did not just steal a recipe, a composition of a fragrance from another country. No, a perfumer read the stories of that country, the history of that country, traveled to that country, smelled the raw materials of that country, their flowers, their woods, their resins, their animals, collected feelings, emotions, impressions, memories, and then traveled back home, and from memory transformed those emotions into a poetic vision through an olfactory experience of fragrance. So what we have here is not cultural appropriation of the Orient by any means. What we have here is an inspirational love letter by Jacques Guerlain to what he experienced to be the Orient back then through magic. And the magic is smell. The composition of the notes deliver a memory. That's the power of perfumes. That's why I say perfumes are magic. They unlock doors to memories, but also they are love letters. They are memoirs. They are entire movies and books and novels, all condensed in one whiff, sniff of a smell. In that one instant of a second, by inhaling the smell, in your mind, you have already performed, read an entire book, felt an entire continent, lived an entire love or hate story or lifetime. In one sniff, takes that 1 second, half a second, the perfumer has conveyed to you an entire life of experience, an entire life of feeling and emotion. So you best believe Shalimar has withstood the test of time, because with every time you sniff it, it shoots through your whole being all of those stories, the stories of the Taj Mahal, of the Shalimar Gardens, of the love story, of Jacques Guerlain being inspired by it, of him creating the perfume, composing it, people of that epoch smelling it, the Baccarat family or company designing the bottle with him, the inspiration for the bottle, the whole history that goes behind everything condensed in one sniff. So simple, so linear. And the beauty of it all, having all that heritage and history in our back, knowing all of this about this, the most beautiful thing of it all is that now that you're wearing it, you add to this story. You add to the heritage of this fragrance because you add your memories to it. You add your impressions to it. You add your experience to it while wearing it. Because all of the things that you will experience in life while wearing a perfume, you know that that perfume is going to be your friend. That perfume is going to be your companion through all of these emotions, through all of these loves and fears and positive and negative emotions, because it's so pure, because the pure intention of the perfumers are not politicians. When they create a perfume, it's pure soul work. It's soul work. It's transforming and translating your emotions into smell. It's magic. And if they deliver the right poem, you know that poem is going to move you in your life, no matter which century you come from. Once you've smelled this, it becomes a part of you. You can call that appropriation in the best of ways, because once you've smelled this, you understand more the 20s. You understand more the history of the place and the space and the people who made this. And that heft, and here we go back to heft, that heft is added to your own reality, to your own story, to your own visions, to your own memories, to your own desires, to your own dreams. And so you just added another brick to this incredible Taj Mahal, a new way of the Shalimar, gardens within the Taj Mahal. It's like you're adding up to that monument with your own story. So the perfume allows you that. If it's a good perfume, it doesn't overpower you. And this one, so gentle. It keeps caressing you. It's like you're made out of silk. It's as if you're this tassel. This tassel is actually the perfect depiction of Shalimar. This little silk tassel. Let me zoom this in, you guys. This little silk tassel, which is now loose, you know, they comb it with that metal comb to create this fluffy, soft silk. It's so soft to the touch. It's as if you were that silk and the perfume is caressing you. Like you are silk. You literally turn into silk. It's that gorgeous. But it's very close to the skin. It speaks its own language. It does not, you know, it does what it does. It is itself. It speaks its own language. You are there to feel it. You are there to experience it. You are there to allow it to wash over you, even though it does it in a very delicate way. It's not overpowering, unless you were not to decant this in a sprayer and you just spray it all over yourself, which you could do. But I think this one is so beautiful just when it remains intimate. So you let it wash over you in an intimate way. You let it speak its language to you. And all of a sudden you realize you might just be a little bit more enriched culturally and emotionally than you were before you tried it out. So I'm not saying you got to buy it. And I'm not saying you have to own it. But I'm saying you have to have experienced it at least once in your lifetime, because it does enrich you. A fragrance like this enriches you. It really does. It makes you feel things in a different way. It adds value to your life because it adds emotions. It adds new nuances to how to feel emotions. So when I smell it, I don't personally feel that type of love story that Jacques Guerlain was depicting from the Orient and India, and one of the seven wonders of the world becoming the tombstone for this woman the Taj Mahal becoming the resting place for the biggest love of this emperor, monarch, whatever he was, king. No, I feel something much more subtle and yet very distant. It's as if it's just a whisper, a faint whisper of a memory of a love. And there's sadness in there because there's death in there. And here we come to another reason why I'm reviewing it now. I mentioned at the beginning of the review, because of Halloween. You know, it's a very spiritual time. It's the favorite time of year for me. October is a moment of gathering. You know, it's called harvest season, but it's a spiritual harvest as well. And Shalimar is almost like a portal to a gateway to that spiritual world. There's an acknowledgement of death in this perfume, and because it smells so distant, you know, you understand that it comes from another time, and that other time is very faint. You smell it in a distance within the perfume itself. And it's sad because you realize that there was so much good and so much creativity and artistic power in that time, and that time is so far away. And this is kind of like a hint of the grandeur of the times that used to be. So it's one of those building blocks that remains, you know, after we've dug out ruins of some past civilization, and we just kind of try to put together the pieces, even though a lot of pieces are missing, and we find a couple of stones here and there. This is one of those stones. This is one of those stones that is still there. And it's a miracle that it still exists, really, even in its reformulated state, because it's a stone that hints at how majestic that time really was. And I'm not saying, politically speaking, as we know, every time has its misery and its beauty, okay? The 20s were very difficult times for many, many people. But creatively speaking, because they were so difficult times, the artists did amazing things, because artists create their best works when they go through hardships. They do. Now, Guerlain lived a comfortable life, not saying that he was economically in any trouble, but he was a sensitive guy. He felt his surroundings. He had those receptors, those antennas, very, very active, and understood the times he was living in and interpreted the times he was living in. Very sensitive person. That's why a lot of his perfumes are literally dedicated to books. You know, like Mitsuko or like Vol de Nuit. Fragrances dedicated to literary creations of the time. Which perfumer today? Demachy, thank God you've retired, boo-boo. Could you imagine Demachy saying, oh yes, you know, Girl Poison. I've developed Girl Poison dedicated to this book, girl. I don't want to say, I don't know how many books he read or not, but you know what I mean? It just ain't it. It just ain't it today anymore. That level of poetry, forget about it. Just a few people that still live by that rule and create perfumes by that rule. Jacques Guerlain, that's a poet. Creating perfumes inspired by books. Actually, Mitsuko, actually the book was inspired by the perfume, right? I think it was the other way around. Because he was huge friends with the author, dedicated a perfume to the book, to some other book, and then the book in return was dedicated to the perfume because they were huge friends. I think that's how it went with Mitsuko. But with Vol de Nuit was directly inspired by the book. It's really, really delicious. Now, imagine what stones Because only a poet can really leave a stone for future generations to kind of find a way to build upon, right? But ask yourselves, which perfumes are those building stones? Which perfumes released today are those building stones for tomorrow? Are there any? I want to know in the comment section down below. I also want to know in the chats now, in the live chats, which perfumes do you think? Do we have any? Now, I was just going to touch base on that, Jesus. Jesus asks, do you think it's close to Le Lion? It's good that you mentioned it because I'm coming to Le Lion. Here it is. In fact, I've prepared it. I've had a chance to use this one a whole year. And while in the beginning, the first thing you think about is Shalimar. The more you use Le Lion, the less it smells of Shalimar. It's its own thing. But you need to use it and abuse it. And I mean, you need to wear it every day, constantly. Let it talk to you, because this one is very proud. It's a lion after all. This one is not going to open up to you just like that. This one, if you want to win its trust, you have to submit to it. Like to a lion, you have to show it your respect. And respect is shown through time, because for this one to develop its olfactory experience within you, to let you access it, you have to smell it over and over and over and over again, because this one does not open up easily. But once it opens up, these two are worlds apart. First impressions are very deceiving with this one. So, which perfume today do you think that is newly created today is a stone for the future, like this one is? Do we have any? I can tell you, Le Lion is really close to that stone because this one, Olivier Polge, for the first time at Chanel, he nailed something. This thing is amazing. It's grown on me like no other perfume in this past year. It just clicked. It took me almost a year, you guys, for this one to click in the right way. That's why I'm going to be re-reviewing it. But very different from Shalimar, huh? But to understand how different it is from Shalimar, you have to wear it a lot to get into the crevices of every single nuance of this perfume. And then you know this ain't Shalimar. And it doesn't want to be. It doesn't want to be Shalimar. But this is a rock, and yet it caresses you. It's very firm in its delivery. It knows what it wants, but it never screams at you. It has the heft of love without ever being heavy. So it's a complete paradox. Only a poet can create such a vision of duality, of constant duality within a fragrance. That's Shalimar. Love it or hate it, doesn't matter. That's a duality too. You can hate it. That's okay. It wants to be hated just as much as it wants to be loved. That's poetry, you guys. And that's Shalimar Parfum. Very different story from Eau de Parfum, which is also beautiful, but very different story. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Let me get quickly to a couple of your chats. Happy Days says, which Shalimar should I get for my first? Ooh, Happy Days. You know, try them out on your skin and see which one develops best for you. You might not like how it smells on you. It still has a character. You might not like its character. I definitely say no blind purchase for this one. The Wind Tester says, me going to the perfume store with Dacob on my headphones because I don't have the budget. That's amazing though. I love the idea. I should try that too. Rich Mitch says, I've got an 80s bottle of Shalimar arriving next week. Oh, congratulations, Rich Mitch, for getting a bottle. Ali Soto asks, says, good question, Jesus, about Le Lion. Is it hay? Is it like hayish? I mean, no. No. There's no hay. Le Lion de Chanel has a bit more of a skanky touch of hay. This one doesn't. This one is heavier than Le Lion. This one has... Le Lion is more effervescent in many ways, while this one has roots. This one goes under the ground. This one opens up a whole world that was hidden under the ground, that you never thought existed. While Le Lion, through its heft, kind of shows you the sun. It's kind of more going upwards. While this one is more, that's why there's a sadness to this one. This one is dragging you into the underworld. Not in a bad way, though. Again, this duality, don't forget, but this is not just a scary thing. It's also a beautiful thing. Jesus says, not necessarily only all about the hay. Le Lion does have that hay barnyard touch that Shalimar doesn't have, but I find them very similar. Talking about the pure perfume, obviously. Le Lion should be treated as a pure perfume. Very different, you guys. Long term. Olfactive Story says, I want to try Jacques by TRNP, which is a tribute to Shalimar with natural ingredients. Ooh, that is interesting. Letty says, I love that Dacob describes perfumes in such poetic manner. Since we don't get to hear often from perfumers about their creations, this is a gift. We only get advertising these days. Bravo, Dacob. Thank you so much, Letty. Thank you. Such beautiful words, says Kathy. Thank you, Kathy. Jesus says, I really want to try Emerald. By Coty. Yeah, that would be good to try in its original Inception formulation. Gwen Lee says, sexy underworld where the vampires are. Yes, of course. Shop Queen says, Dacob, I love your poetry and you should seriously create a fragrance for both Chanel and Guerlain. It would be the brand's gain. I would love to. I would love to. Jesus says, Le Lion is in fact a pure perfume. They'll probably water it down to an EDP pretty soon, LOL, if they haven't already. So get the oldest batch you can find of Le Lion, you guys. I highly recommend it. And as for Shalimar, you probably can't get a 20s batch, which would probably also, by this time, 100 years old. Who knows how it would smell. But I'm telling you, in its current state, it still delivers. Thank you guys so much. And until next time, never forget to never give up on love and keep dreaming away those fragrant dreams. Bye.